In the sun-scorched borderlands of Texas, a deadly miscalculation is about to unfold. When Mexico's most ruthless cartel sets their sights on a remote ranch, they believe they're dealing with just another aging rancher living alone with his daughter. They're about to discover that Sarah Mitchell isn't just a rancher's daughter. She's a former Marine Scout sniper with a kill range of over a mile. What follows is the story of how a father-daughter team would systematically dismantle an entire cartel operation using nothing but 800 acres of tactical terrain, decades of combined military experience, and the deadly precision that made her a legend in Afghanistan. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. The morning sun painted long shadows across the Mitchell ranch as James Mitchell walked his fence line, his weathered boots crunching against the drought-hardened Texas soil. At 63, the former Army Ranger still moved with the deliberate grace of a man who'd spent decades staying alive in hostile territory. His eyes, sharp despite his age, continuously scanned the horizon, old habits that had kept him breathing through 3 tours in Vietnam. Behind him, from an elevated position, near the ranch house, his daughter Sarah tracked his movement through her spotting scope. It was more than just practice. It was their morning ritual. At 32, Sarah Mitchell had earned her own place in military history, though few knew it. Her tours as a Marine Scout sniper in Afghanistan had made her one of the deadliest long-range specialists in Corps history, with confirmed kills at distances that seemed to defy physics. "Movement on the South Road, Dad." Sarah's voice crackled through James's concealed earpiece. "Black SUV. Looks like they're slowing down." James didn't break stride or give any indication he was being watched or warned. He taught Sarah that valuable lesson years ago: the best advantage is the one your opponent doesn't know you have. "Tags?" he asked quietly, adjusting his worn Stetson. "Mexican plates? Last 4 numbers 7239. Third time this week we've seen them." The Mitchell Ranch sat at a crucial crossroads, their 800 acres strategically controlling access to a network of remote roads that led deep into Texas. James had chosen this land carefully after retiring from the Rangers, recognizing its tactical value even then. Now, 20 years later, those same features were drawing unwanted attention. "Dawson called last night," James said, kneeling to check a fence post, using the motion to study the SUV's reflection in a water trough. Philip's place went up for sale suddenly. No warning, no explanation. 4th ranch this month. "Cartel," Sarah replied, her voice carrying the same analytical tone she'd used calling wind adjustments in Kandahar. "They're moving north, systematically, taking properties, creating a corridor." James watched the SUV complete its slow pass of their front gate. The windows were tinted, but he caught the glint of optics. Someone was watching them too. "Your mother would be proud, you know," he said softly, "how you've turned out, what you've become." Sarah was quiet for a moment. Rachel Mitchell had died 15 years ago, but her influence had shaped their lives in unexpected ways. It was Rachel who'd first taught Sarah to shoot, starting her on a .22 rifle when she was barely 10. "Mom's the one who always said we defend what's ours," Sarah finally replied. James smiled, remembering Rachel's fierce determination. She'd been Army too, a combat medic who'd understood the importance of preparation. The hidden bunker beneath, their barn, the cached supplies, the encrypted communication system. Those had been her ideas, implemented long before any threat appeared. "Got movement at the Phillips place," Sarah reported, her scope now trained on their neighbor's abandoned ranch. 2 more SUVs, same cartel markings. They're setting up something in the barn. James completed his circuit of the fence line, each step calculated to appear casual while covering the optimal observation route they'd planned years ago. "They'll come soon," he said, "testing our fences first, watching our routines. Standard, In cartel tactics, let them come, Sarah replied, and James could hear the steel in her voice. She'd inherited that from Rachel, too. I've got ranges calculated for every approach, wind markers placed. Hunting cartel sicarios isn't that different from hunting Taliban. James reached the barn, pausing to appreciate its strategic position. Rachel had insisted on building it here, on this exact spot. The sightlines were perfect, covering every approach to the ranch. The reinforced walls, the hidden shooting, ports, the underground access tunnels, all her design. They think they're hunting us, James said quietly. Don't realize we've been preparing for something like this for 20 years. A dust cloud on the horizon caught his attention. Company coming, Sarah reported. Local sheriff. Looks like Martinez. Sheriff Elena Martinez's cruiser rolled up the drive, gravel crunching under its tires. She'd been a good friend to the Mitchells since taking office, and more importantly, she understood the reality of life on the border. James, she called out, climbing from her vehicle. Got some news you need to hear. About the cartels moving in? James asked, watching her expression carefully. Martinez's eyes narrowed slightly. So you've noticed. They're being subtle about it, but they're systematically taking over properties along the border. Those who sell get rich, those who don't. She trailed off significantly. Have accidents, James finished, like Rodriguez last month. Truck brake failure on a straight road. They're coming, James, Martinez said quietly. Word is your ranch is next on their list. This isn't like the normal border trouble. These are professionals, ex-military some of them. They don't leave witnesses. James nodded, thanking her for the warning. As Martinez drove away, Sarah's voice came through his earpiece again. She's right about one thing, Dad. They are professionals, but so are we. James looked up toward his daughter's hidden position, though he knew better than to try to spot her. Rachel had taught her too well. Difference is, honey, they don't know that. Not yet. The Texas sun climbed higher, casting shorter shadows across the Mitchell ranch. To any observer, it looked peaceful. Just another aging rancher and his daughter trying to scratch out a living from unforgiving land. But beneath that tranquil surface, father and daughter were preparing for war. The cartel thought they were moving in on easy prey. They were about to learn a costly lesson about making assumptions. The afternoon heat shimmered across the Mitchell ranch as Sarah maintained her watch position, her spotting scope revealing details most would miss. Through years of combat experience, she'd learned that the smallest changes often signaled the biggest threats. The cartel's SUVs had made another pass, this time lingering longer at the gate. They were getting bolder. Movement at the Ramirez place, she reported to her father, who was working in the barn below. Through her scope, she could see unfamiliar men in expensive suits walking the perimeter of their neighbor's property. 4 men, professional stance, military training, probably Mexican special forces based on their movement patterns. James's voice crackled through her earpiece. Manuel Ramirez called this morning, said he got an offer for his ranch, 3 times market value cash. He paused, and Sarah could hear the concern in his voice. His grandson's starting college. This fall, he's considering it. Sarah adjusted her position slightly, maintaining her cover while expanding her field of view. The suit-wearing men had split up, 2 heading toward the Ramirez farmhouse, while 2 others consulted what appeared to be maps. Their movements were too precise, too coordinated to be simple real estate investors. They're mapping approach routes, Sarah observed, years of combat experience informing her analysis, looking for tactical advantages, line-of-sight positions. She zoomed in on one of the men. The leader, he's carrying a concealed weapon, Mexican military issue based on the holster design. These aren't buyers, they're advance reconnaissance. A truck appeared on the dusty road leading to their ranch, and Sarah quickly shifted her attention. Kate Anderson incoming, she reported, recognizing their closest neighbor's vehicle. Catherine Anderson had been Rachel Mitchell's best friend. And after Rachel's death, she'd become like an aunt to Sarah. More importantly, she ran the local feed store and heard everything that happened in 3 counties. James met Kate at the front gate, maintaining the appearance of normal ranch life while Sarah kept watch. Through her scope, Sarah could read the tension in Kate's body language even before she spoke. "The Hendersons are gone," Kate announced, without preamble, her hands gripping her steering wheel tightly. "Packed up in the middle of the night, no warning, no goodbye. But this morning I saw men at their place, the same ones who've been buying up properties all along the border." Sarah watched her father's reaction, noting how he maintained his casual posture while his eyes scanned their surroundings. He taught her that skill, how to stay alert without looking alert. "Cartel's moving faster than we expected," he replied quietly. "James, these aren't ordinary criminals." Kate leaned forward, lowering her voice. "They're organized, well-funded. Sheriff Martinez is out of her depth, and nobody else will stand up to them. The Hendersons' place makes 7 properties in the last month." Sarah's attention was drawn to movement on the southern horizon. Dad got another vehicle approaching. Black Escalade, different from the ones we've been seeing. Higher end, probably cartel leadership doing their own reconnaissance. James patted the side of Kate's truck. "Appreciate the warning, Kate. Might want to stay with your sister in Austin for a few days. Things could get complicated around here." After Kate drove away, James headed toward the barn, his pace unhurried despite the approaching vehicle. "Sarah, run facial recognition when they get closer. Let's see who we're dealing with." "Already on it," Sarah replied, her laptop connected to her observation position. The software was officially restricted to military use, but she'd maintained certain connections from her Marine days. Getting a match. Miguel Vega, former Mexican Special Forces commander, now running cartel operations in 3 states. He's the one behind the property acquisitions. The Escalade slowed as it approached their gate. Sarah's scope revealed 4 men inside, all armed despite their expensive suits. "Dad, you've got company coming. Want me to discourage them?" "Not yet," James replied calmly. "Let's see what they want, but keep a solution ready." Sarah's finger rested lightly beside, her rifle's trigger guard not on it. Another lesson from her father: stay ready, but never eager. Through her scope, she watched Miguel Vega emerge from the Escalade, his movements betraying his military background, despite his businessman's attire. "Mr. Mitchell," Vega called out, his accent slight but noticeable. "Beautiful property you have here." His smile was practiced, professional, but his eyes remained cold as he surveyed the ranch. "Can I help you?" James asked, projecting the perfect image of a simple rancher, though Sarah could read the subtle signs of his combat readiness. "We represent an investment group," Vega said smoothly. "We've been acquiring properties in the area, your land. It has certain features that interest us." His men had spread out slightly, taking positions that might have seemed casual to an untrained observer, but that Sarah recognized as standard tactical formation. "Not interested in selling," James replied simply. "Land's been in the family too long." Sarah noticed one of Vega's men speaking quietly into a radio while another was carefully studying the ranch's layout. Through her scope, she could see him noting down approaches, distances, defensive positions. "They're not planning to take no for an answer," she whispered into her comm. "This is their standard pattern. Make an offer, then escalate if refused." Vega's smile tightened slightly. "Perhaps I wasn't clear. We're prepared to offer significantly above market value, 4 million cash, more than generous for a ranch this size." "Money's not everything," James responded, his voice steady. "Some things aren't for sale." The atmosphere shifted subtly, tension replacing the pretense of friendly negotiation. "Mr. Mitchell," Vega said, his voice dropping, "let me be direct. This region is changing, progress, you might say. You can be part of that change and profit from it, or He let the threat hang unspoken. "Sounds like a threat," James observed calmly. "Simply stating facts," Vega replied. "Things happen. To those who don't understand opportunity, accidents, unfortunately, are common in ranching." He reached into his jacket, causing Sarah's finger to move closer to her trigger, but he merely produced a business card. "You have 24 hours to reconsider. After that, the offer becomes significantly less generous." Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. As Vega's Escalade disappeared in a cloud of Texas dust, Sarah maintained her surveillance position, tracking the vehicle's departure through her scope. Years of combat experience had taught her to never assume a threat had passed just because it appeared to leave. "They're stopping at the Henderson place," she reported, her voice carrying the calm precision that had made her legendary among Marine snipers. "Setting up observation posts. They're not really leaving." James entered the barn, activating the hidden security system Rachel had designed years ago. High-resolution cameras covered every approach, while buried motion sensors monitored the perimeter. Everything fed into a command center concealed beneath the barn's innocent exterior. "What's your analysis?" he asked, knowing his daughter's tactical assessment would be exact. "Three-phase operation," Sarah replied, her military training evident in her systematic breakdown. "Phase 1 was just completed. Official approach, legitimate offer, veiled threats. Phase 2 will be intimidation, probably starting tonight. Phase 3, she paused, making a minor adjustment to her scope. "That's when they stop pretending to be businessmen." The command center's screens showed multiple cartel vehicles now positioned around their property, maintaining what they thought was a discreet distance. James studied their deployment, noting their professional positioning. "They're not using local muscle," he observed. "These are trained operators." "Former Mexican Special Forces, most likely," Sarah confirmed. "Their vehicle spacing, their communication patterns, this is military protocol, not cartel standard. Procedure. They're expecting resistance, but they're expecting it from simple ranchers, not from people who can read their tactics." James's phone buzzed, a text from Sheriff Martinez. "Cartel's moving hard and fast. 9 properties taken in the last month. Watch your back." He showed the message to Sarah, who had descended from her position using one of the hidden access routes Rachel had insisted on installing. "Mom always said preparation beats panic," Sarah remarked, checking her weapon loadout. Her custom rifle, the one that had served her through 3 tours in Afghanistan, was cleaned and ready. But it was the secondary weapons, the hidden caches, and the carefully planned fields of fire that would make the difference. "Your mother," James said softly, "she saw this coming. Not the cartel specifically, but something like it. That's why she designed all this." He gestured to the command center, the defensive preparations, the hidden infrastructure that turned their ranch into a fortress. "She always said, the best defense is the one your enemy doesn't know exists." Sarah moved to the tactical map they'd prepared, marking known cartel positions. "They're establishing a perimeter," she noted. "Standard containment procedure. They'll want to control all access points before they make their real move." She pointed to several locations. "These are their likely infiltration routes, based on the terrain and their current positions." "How would you play it?" James asked, though he already knew his daughter's answer. Sarah had inherited Rachel's tactical genius, along with her determination. "They'll come at night," Sarah replied, her finger tracing potential approach routes. "Multiple teams, coordinated assault. They'll expect resistance, ranchers with hunting rifles, maybe some military surplus gear. What they won't expect is someone who can read their tactics and counter them before they develop." A quiet alarm signaled movement at their perimeter. The security feeds showed 2 cartel observers setting up equipment at the edge of their property. Range finding, Sarah noted, studying their gear through the camera's zoom. Getting distances for night operations. They're good, using military-grade laser rangefinders, staying just outside what they think is observation range. Let them, James replied. Every measurement they take is based on what they can see. Your mother made sure our real defensive positions stayed hidden. Sarah checked her watch, making calculations. 6 hours until sunset. They'll want at least 2 hours of full darkness before they move. That gives us 8 hours to finish preparations. She turned to her father, her expression serious. They'll come in force, Dad. Everything they've done so far suggests they're treating this like a military operation. Good, James said quietly. That means they'll follow predictable protocols. Your mother always said military training becomes a weakness when it makes you predictable. They spent the next hour checking their preparations. Sarah verified her firing positions, each one carefully designed to provide multiple fields of fire while remaining invisible to observation. James confirmed their communication setup, ensuring they could coordinate even if the cartel tried to jam conventional frequencies. "Dad," Sarah called out, her voice carrying that special tone that had always reminded James of Rachel. "I know why you chose this place all those years ago. It wasn't just about the tactical position or the defensive advantages. Mom knew something like this might happen, didn't she? That's why she insisted on all these preparations." James was quiet for a moment, remembering Rachel's fierce insistence on being ready, on building their defenses into the very structure of their ranch. "Your mother understood something most people don't," he finally replied. "Peace isn't about being harmless, it's about being so well prepared that no one dares to disturb it. Through their security feeds, they watch the cartel's preparations. Continue." More vehicles arrived, taking positions that looked random but formed a carefully planned containment grid. They were professionals, executing a well-planned operation, but they were planning to fight ranchers, not a Marine Scout sniper and her ranger father. 8 hours, Sarah said, checking her weapons one final time. "They think they're setting up an ambush." "They are," James agreed, activating the last of their security measures. "Just not the one they think." He looked at his daughter, seeing Rachel's determination in her eyes. "Ready?" Sarah smiled, the same smile Rachel had worn when facing impossible odds. "Born ready, Dad. Let's show them why you don't threaten a Mitchell." The Texas sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the ranch. To the cartel observers watching through their scopes, everything appeared normal. Just an aging rancher and his daughter going about their evening routine. They had no way of knowing they were watching two of the most lethal combat veterans. In Texas, prepare for war. As darkness settled over the Mitchell Ranch, the temperature dropped, bringing a familiar clarity to the Texas night. Sarah maintained her primary observation position, using thermal imaging to track the cartel's deployment. Their movements revealed their military background, disciplined, coordinated, professional. "Contact west," she whispered into her comm. "The system, 3-man team moving through the dry creek bed. They're using proper tactical spacing." Through her thermal scope, she could see more teams establishing positions around the ranch perimeter. At least 20 operators in total. They're not taking any chances. In the command center below, James monitored their security feeds. "They're moving earlier than expected," he observed. "Sunset was only 40 minutes ago. They usually wait for deeper darkness." "They're adapting to the terrain," Sarah replied, her voice carrying the analytical tone she'd used calling targets in Afghanistan. "Moon's nearly full tonight. They'll want to complete their operation before it rises and ruins their night visibility advantage." The cartel forces moved with precision that confirmed Sarah's assessment of their training. Each team maintained perfect spacing, used appropriate cover, and coordinated their movements with other units. They were executing a professional military operation exactly as planned, except they were walking into a trap 20 years in the making. First team approaching the outer marker, Sarah reported. Through her scope, she watched 3 operators reach the innocuous-looking fence post that served as their first tripwire. Running final wind calculations now, cross breeze at 2 knots, negligible elevation variance at this range. James checked the tactical display showing their properties. Defensive grid. "Remember what your mother always said about first impressions," he said quietly. Sarah smiled in the darkness, remembering Rachel's lessons. "Make them precise," she replied, settling deeper into her firing position. "Dad, I've got the shot. Permission to execute." "Execute." Sarah's rifle, a custom-built precision weapon that had served her through 3 combat tours, made no sound as she squeezed the trigger. The suppressor, combined with the subsonic ammunition she'd hand-loaded, produced only a whisper. Through her scope, she watched the lead operator's radio equipment explode in a shower of sparks. The effect was immediate and exactly as planned. The cartel team instantly dropped into defensive positions, but they were looking for incoming fire from the wrong direction. Sarah had positioned herself using the complex geometry of sound reflection that her mother had mapped out years ago. The shots seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. "Clean hit on the equipment," she reported. "No personnel injuries. They're scrambling their formations exactly as expected." James watched through the command center's thermal imaging as the cartel forces reacted. Their disciplined formation dissolved as they tried to locate a threat that seemed to vanish as soon as it appeared. "Second team is moving to support," he noted. "They're following standard response protocols." "Congestion at Point Charlie," Sarah confirmed, referring to their pre-planned containment zones. 8 operators now clustered in the kill zone. Permission to execute Phase 2. Execute. Sarah's second shot struck the ground between the gathered operators, sending them scrambling for cover that didn't exist. Her third shot disabled another set of communications equipment. Each shot seemed to come from a different direction, creating the illusion of multiple shooters. "They're falling back to secondary positions," she reported, tracking their movement through her scope. Attempting to establish a new command and control structure. She paused, making another minute adjustment. "Sir, Vega has arrived. Black Escalade at the southeast corner, well back from the action. He's coordinating through. Subordinates." James studied Vega's position on the tactical display. The cartel leader had chosen his location well, maintaining command visibility while staying safely beyond what he thought was effective rifle range. "What's your read on their next move?" "They're reorganizing for a coordinated sweep," Sarah replied, her combat experience informing her analysis. "Standard counter-sniper protocol. They'll try to flood the area with personnel, force us to either engage or withdraw." She tracked another team's movement through her scope. "But they're searching the wrong positions. Mum's design is working perfectly. They're looking exactly where we're not." Deem. Through their command center's audio pickups, they could hear the cartel operators' growing frustration. Their encrypted communications, easily decoded by the systems Rachel had installed, revealed mounting confusion. They were facing resistance that matched their tactical sophistication, but seemed to come from impossibly shifting positions. "Sir," Sarah's voice carried a note of professional appreciation. "They're good. They're adapting faster than standard operators would, switching to non-standard search patterns, trying to flush out our positions." James watched the tactical display, noting how the cartel forces were indeed showing impressive adaptation. "Your mother always said the most dangerous opponent is one who learns," he replied. "Time to show them something new. Initiate Sequence Delta." Sarah smiled in the darkness. Sequence Delta had been Rachel's particular favorite among their prepared responses. Across the ranch, carefully positioned speakers activated, broadcasting the sound of movement through the underbrush. The cartel operators, already on edge, responded immediately, pouring fire into empty terrain. "They're burning through ammunition," Sarah reported with satisfaction, "splitting their focus across multiple sectors." She made another microscopic adjustment to her scope. Permission to initiate final phase of Delta. Execute. Her next series of shots created a precise pattern of impacts, each one calculated to drive the cartel forces into pre-planned containment areas. The operators, responding to what they thought was a coordinated attack from multiple shooters, found themselves clustered in exposed positions. "All teams contained in primary zones," Sarah confirmed. "They've lost tactical cohesion. Their training is actually working against them now. They're following standard response protocols, but those protocols assume they know where the threat is coming from." James activated their property's lighting system, another of Rachel's carefully planned innovations. Powerful floods illuminated the containment zones, exposing the cartel operators while leaving them without clear targets or escape routes. "Ladies and gentlemen," James's voice boomed across their external speakers, "I believe this is what they call a tactical disadvantage." The Texas night erupted in chaos as the cartel forces realized just how thoroughly they'd been outmaneuvered. They had come expecting to find a simple rancher and his daughter. Instead, they'd walked into an ambush 20 years in the making, sprung by a Marine scout sniper who had learned warfare at her mother's knee. Illuminated by the harsh floodlights, the cartel operators found themselves in an impossible tactical situation. Their military training had prepared them for conventional resistance, not the sophisticated trap they now faced. Through her scope, Sarah watched their disciplined formation deteriorate as they realized the extent of their disadvantage. "Multiple teams attempting to establish new defensive positions," she reported, her voice maintaining professional detachment. "They're shifting to a circular formation, trying to create overlapping fields of fire, standard response to an unknown number of attackers." In the command center, James monitored Vega's reaction through their surveillance system. The cartel leader had exited his escalade and was issuing rapid commands through his remaining communication channels. "They're calling in reinforcements," James noted, intercepting their encrypted transmissions. "2 more teams en route from their forward operating base at the Henderson property." Sarah adjusted her position slightly, maintaining coverage of the primary containment zones while accounting for potential new threats. Permission to begin precision interdiction of their command structure. Granted. Maintain non-lethal protocols. Her rifle spoke again, the sound barely a whisper in the Texas night. Through her scope, she watched Vega's satellite phone explode in his hand, followed by the systematic destruction of the remaining command and control equipment. Each shot was precisely calculated to eliminate their tactical capabilities while avoiding personnel injuries. "Command and control infrastructure neutralized," she reported. "They're shifting to emergency protocols, but their coordination is severely compromised." She tracked another team's movement through her thermal imaging. "They're attempting to establish a fallback position near the north fence line." James activated the second phase of their response plan. Across the ranch, hidden speakers began broadcasting the sounds of movement from multiple directions, creating the illusion of a much larger opposing force. The cartel operators, already destabilized, found themselves responding to phantom threats. "Sir, Vega is initiating their contingency protocol," Sarah observed. "Standard Mexican Special Forces procedure, consolidating remaining assets around command elements while attempting tactical withdrawal." "Your mother always said the most dangerous moment is when your opponent realizes they're outmatched," James replied, watching the tactical display. "That's when training gives way to desperation." As if confirming his assessment, one of the cartel teams attempted an aggressive flanking maneuver. Sarah's response was immediate and precise. A series of shots struck the ground in a calculated pattern, herding the operators back into the containment zone without causing injuries. "They're beginning to understand," she reported, detecting changes in their movement patterns. "Their tactical responses are becoming less coordinated, more individualistic. They're starting to realize their training protocols aren't effective against our capabilities." James activated their external communication system again, his voice projecting calm authority across the battlefield. "Mr. Vega, I recommend you consider your position carefully. Your teams are contained, your communications are compromised, and your tactical options are severely limited." Through her scope, Sarah watched Vega's reaction. The cartel leader's military training was evident in his controlled response, but she could detect the strain in his posture. "They're attempting to assess our capabilities," she reported. Two-man reconnaissance team moving along the eastern perimeter using advanced infiltration techniques. Show them why that's inadvisable. Sarah's next series of shots demonstrated their complete control of the battlefield. The reconnaissance team found their path blocked by precisely placed impacts that anticipated and countered every attempted movement. It was a demonstration of capability that spoke directly to their professional military background. "Mr. Mitchell," Vega's voice carried across the illuminated ground, maintaining a facade of control. "Perhaps we can discuss this situation like reasonable men." "Reasonable men don't threaten families," James replied calmly. "Reasonable men don't try to take what isn't theirs through intimidation and force." Sarah detected movement at the property's perimeter. Reinforcements arriving, 3 vehicles. Military-grade transport, likely carrying additional tactical teams. She made rapid calculations, adjusting her firing solutions. "They're attempting to establish a support position outside our containment zone. Demonstrate the error in that assumption." The arriving vehicles found their advance halted by a precise pattern of shots that disabled their engines without endangering personnel. Sarah's marksmanship, honed through years of combat experience, reduced the reinforcements to immobile observers of their colleagues' predicament. "All hostile elements contained," she reported professionally. "We have complete tactical control of the battlefield." Through her scope, she could see the growing recognition among the cartel operators that they were facing something far beyond their experience. "They're initiating emergency extraction procedures." James watched the tactical display as the cartel forces attempted to coordinate their withdrawal. Their movements showed their professional training, but also revealed their growing understanding of their situation. They had come prepared for armed resistance from ranchers. Instead, they had encountered a level of tactical sophistication that matched and exceeded their own. "Final warning, Mr. Vega," James announced. "You have 2 options. Withdraw your forces immediately and permanently, or discover exactly how complete our tactical advantages really are. The next demonstration will be considerably less gentle." Adri. Through the command center's audio pickups, they could hear the strain in Vega's voice as he ordered his men to fall back. The cartel operators, maintaining what professional discipline they could, began a controlled withdrawal from their compromised positions. "They're executing a standard tactical retreat," Sarah reported, tracking their movement. "Maintaining defensive formations, but their primary focus is on evacuation rather than engagement." She paused, making final wind calculations. "Permission to provide a farewell reminder. Granted, make it memorable." Her final shot struck the ground directly in front of Vega's retreating escalade, a precise demonstration that their entire withdrawal had been allowed rather than achieved. It was a professional courtesy from one tactical expert to another, a clear message about the true balance of power. The Texas night began to quiet, as the cartel forces completed their withdrawal, leaving behind disabled vehicles and shattered equipment as testament to their miscalculation. They had come expecting to overwhelm simple ranchers with military tactics. Instead, they had received an object lesson in the dangers of underestimating one's opponents. In the command center beneath the barn, James and Sarah Mitchell conducted their post-engagement analysis as dawn approached. The tactical displays showed the cartel forces continuing their withdrawal, maintaining professional discipline despite their decisive defeat. Through their surveillance network, they could track Vega's convoy returning to their temporary headquarters at the Henderson property. Complete tactical analysis, James requested, his military background evident in his systematic approach to the situation. Sarah, who had descended from her firing position using their concealed access routes, pulled up the engagement data on their main display. Initial force composition was consistent with our intelligence, she began, her briefing crisp and professional. 23 operators in the primary assault teams, all showing advanced tactical training. Equipment loadout confirmed their Mexican Special Forces background, HK-416 rifles, tactical communications gear, third-generation night vision equipment. James studied the tactical replay, noting the precision of the cartel's initial deployment. Their approach was technically perfect, he observed. Textbook Special Forces infiltration pattern. That's what made them vulnerable, Sarah agreed, highlighting key moments in the engagement. They followed standard military protocols, which made their movements predictable. Mum's defensive design exploited that predictability perfectly. She advanced the replay to show their containment strategy. Every time they employed conventional tactical responses, they pushed themselves further into our prepared positions. The command center's screens showed multiple angles of the engagement, combining thermal imaging with conventional surveillance. The cartel's professional operators had executed their assault with impressive skill, but they had been fighting a battle whose parameters they didn't understand. Damage assessment, James requested, though their non-lethal strategy had been executed precisely as planned. 8 vehicles disabled, primarily through precision targeting of engine blocks and communication equipment, Sarah reported, bringing up the detailed statistics. 17 communication systems neutralized, 3 satellite phones destroyed, and approximately 60% of their night vision capability compromised through targeted illumination. She switched to their personnel tracking display. No serious injuries among their operators. Minimal collateral damage to our infrastructure, all within predicted parameters. Mum's reinforced positions proved even more effective than simulations suggested. James nodded, remembering Rachel's insistence on over-engineering their defensive preparations. They'll analyze every aspect of this engagement, he noted. Professional operators like that, they'll want to understand exactly what they encountered. That works to our advantage, Sarah replied, highlighting their strategic deception measures. Every piece of evidence they collect will support their initial assumption that they're dealing with a sophisticated paramilitary operation. The precision of our response, the tactical complexity of our containment strategy, even the non-lethal nature of our engagement, it all suggests exactly what we want them to think. Their security system signaled an approaching vehicle. Through their cameras, they identified Sheriff Martinez's cruiser moving cautiously up their drive. "Time to maintain our cover," James said. "You know the protocol." Sarah nodded, quickly securing their command center's more sensitive displays. By the time Martinez reached their door, they had transformed the space back into a simple ranch office with only the most basic security, monitors visible. "Heard there was some excitement out here last night," Martinez said, without preamble as she entered. Her experienced eyes scanned the barn's interior, noting nothing out of the ordinary. "Got reports of gunfire and unusual lights." "Had some trespassers," James replied calmly. "Had to encourage them to leave the property." Martinez's expression showed she understood the understatement. These trespassers, they wouldn't happen to be connected to our recent property acquisitions, would they? Might be, James acknowledged. Seems they're not interested in taking no for an answer. The sheriff studied them both carefully. You know, it's interesting, she said finally. Got reports from my deputies about disabled vehicles being towed from your access roads. Professional equipment, military-grade gear, the kind of setup you don't usually see outside of Special Forces operations. That is interesting, Sarah agreed neutrally, her posture revealing nothing of her combat experience. Martinez sighed. Look, James, Sarah, I know there's more going on here than you're saying. Those weren't ordinary criminals you dealt with. Last night, the way they operated, their equipment, these were trained military professionals. Then it's fortunate they decided to withdraw, James replied simply. The sheriff's expression showed her frustration with their careful responses. They'll be back, she warned. Groups like this, they don't just walk away after something like this. They'll regroup, analyze what happened, come back stronger. We'll keep that in mind, Sarah assured her, maintaining their cover of capable, but ordinary ranchers. After Martinez left, father and daughter returned to their tactical analysis. The security feeds showed cartel forces at the Henderson property, conducting their own assessment of the night's events. They're adapting faster than expected, Sarah observed, watching the professional operators methodically document every aspect of their failed assault. Vega's background is showing he's treating this like a military intelligence problem rather than a cartel operation. James studied their tactical display, noting the careful way the cartel forces were establishing new observation posts. Your mother always said the most dangerous opponent is one who learns from failure, he remarked. They'll come back with a different approach, try to find angles we haven't covered. Sarah smiled, a gesture that reminded James powerfully of Rachel. Mom also said the best defense isn't the one that wins the first battle, it's the one that's already prepared for the second and third. Through their surveillance network, they watched the Texas sun rise over their property. The signs of the night's engagement were minimal. A few impact marks, some disabled vehicles being towed away. To any observer, the Mitchell Ranch appeared unchanged. But beneath that peaceful surface, father and daughter continued their preparations, knowing that the cartel's next move would be more sophisticated, more carefully planned, and far more dangerous. The afternoon sun cast long shadows across the Mitchell Ranch as Sarah maintained surveillance from a new position. Through her thermal imaging equipment, she tracked multiple cartel observation teams conducting a methodical analysis of the previous night's engagement. Their approach had shifted dramatically, demonstrating the professional adaptation she had anticipated. They're implementing a comprehensive intelligence-gathering operation, she reported to her father through their secure communication system. 4 teams, each focusing on different aspects of our defensive capabilities. Their methodology suggests advanced military reconnaissance training. In the command center, James studied the tactical displays showing the cartel team's movements. They're being more subtle now, he observed, noting their careful positioning. No more direct observation. They're using civilian cover vehicles, maintaining significant standoff distance. The cartel's new strategy revealed their professional background. Instead of preparing for another direct assault, they were conducting a thorough tactical analysis. Survey teams disguised as utility, workers mapped sightlines and elevations. Cellular communications experts probed their electronic defenses. Every aspect of the Mitchell Ranch was being systematically examined. Third telecoms van this morning, Sarah noted, tracking another vehicle through her scope. They're trying to map our communications infrastructure, attempting to identify how we coordinated our defense. She adjusted her position slightly, maintaining coverage while remaining undetected. Their signal intelligence equipment is sophisticated, Mexican military grade, possibly enhanced with American technology. James accessed their surveillance archives, reviewing footage from multiple angles. "They're reconstructing the entire engagement," he said, recognizing the professional methodology. "Every shot, every movement, every response. They're trying to understand our capabilities." Through their security network, they intercepted fragments of the cartel's encrypted communications. The technical language and analytical approach confirmed their suspicions. These weren't ordinary criminals, but military professionals conducting a formal tactical assessment. "Director Vega is implementing a multi-phase analysis," Sarah reported, translating the military jargon in their intercepted transmissions. "They're treating this like a formal military operation now. Complete terrain mapping, electronic warfare, evaluation, capability assessment." James activated their secondary defensive protocols, subtle measures designed specifically for this type of professional scrutiny. "Your mother anticipated this," he remarked, implementing Rachel's carefully planned counterintelligence measures. "She said our first layer of defense would have to be convincing enough to satisfy professional analysis." Sarah tracked another cartel team moving along their perimeter. Their positioning and movement patterns showed extensive reconnaissance training. "They're good," she acknowledged. "Every approach is carefully coordinated, designed to appear innocent while gathering maximum tactical information." The command center's displays showed the comprehensive nature of the cartel's investigation. They had deployed ground-penetrating radar to map subsurface structures, utilized advanced surveillance equipment to analyze their security systems, and employed sophisticated signals intelligence gear to probe their communications. "Multiple teams approaching the North Ridge," Sarah reported. "They're establishing an electronic warfare platform, likely attempting to map our command and control capabilities." She adjusted her thermal imaging settings. "Professional-grade equipment, definitely military origin. They're trying to reconstruct our communications network from last night." James studied the tactical display, noting the methodical way the cartel forces were building their intelligence picture. "They're looking for patterns," he observed, "trying to understand how we coordinated such a precise defense. Their analysis will show them exactly what we want them to see. Evidence of a sophisticated paramilitary operation." Sarah's surveillance revealed new cartel teams arriving, each focused on specific aspects of their defensive capabilities. "They're bringing in specialists," she noted, "ballistics experts analyzing impact patterns, electronic warfare technicians, probing our communications, tactical analysts reconstructing our firing positions." The Mitchell Ranch had become the focus of an intensive military intelligence operation. Every aspect of their defense was being scrutinized by professionals who understood the significance of what they had encountered. But Rachel's planning had anticipated this level of examination. "South Team is using advanced acoustic analysis," Sarah reported, "trying to map our shooting positions based on sound propagation patterns." She allowed herself a small smile. "Mom's acoustic deflection design is giving them exactly the data we want them to have." James activated another layer of their deception protocols. Carefully planned electronic emissions, precise thermal signatures, and specific radar returns all combined to present a consistent but carefully crafted picture of their capabilities. "They're compiling a comprehensive tactical analysis," Sarah observed, monitoring the cartel's communications. "Director Vega has requested additional technical specialists. They're treating this as a high-priority military intelligence operation." Through their surveillance system, they watched the cartel. Teams continue their methodical investigation. Each piece of evidence they collected, every measurement they took, contributed to the exact conclusion Rachel had planned for: that the Mitchell Ranch was defended by a sophisticated and well-equipped paramilitary organization. Your mother's strategy is working perfectly, James noted, reviewing the data the cartel teams were collecting. Every layer of our defense is designed to reinforce their assumptions while concealing our true capabilities. Sarah tracked another specialist team moving into position. They're establishing a signals intelligence platform on the Henderson property, she reported. Military-grade direction-finding equipment. They're trying to locate our command and control center. The Texas Sun began its descent as the cartel's investigation continued. Their professional approach revealed both their military background and their growing respect for the opposition they faced. What had begun as a simple property acquisition had evolved into a complex military intelligence operation. Mom always said the best deception isn't the one that prevents discovery, Sarah remarked, watching the cartel teams continue their analysis. It's the one that ensures they discover exactly what you want them to find. Through their command center's displays, father and daughter monitored the cartel's growing understanding of what they thought they faced. Every piece of evidence, every tactical analysis, every technical measurement led them toward a carefully crafted conclusion, one that would shape their next move in exactly the way Rachel had planned years ago. The following morning brought clear evidence of the cartel's strategic adaptation. Through their surveillance network, James and Sarah Mitchell observed a significant escalation in both the sophistication and scope of the cartel's operations. Multiple specialized teams had established positions around their perimeter, each focused on specific aspects of tactical analysis. New development at the Henderson property, Sarah reported from her observation position, her thermal imaging revealing substantial activity. They've established a forward command center, military-grade tactical operations facility, consistent with Mexican Special Forces protocols. Through her scope, she tracked the arrival of additional specialized equipment, multiple signals, intelligence platforms, advanced surveillance systems, professional-grade command and control infrastructure. James monitored the tactical displays in their command center, noting the methodical way the cartel forces were establishing their new operational base. They're implementing a formal military command structure, he observed, recognizing the professional methodology in their deployment patterns. Director Vega is transforming this from a cartel operation into a specialized military campaign. Their surveillance systems intercepted fragments of encrypted communications, revealing the extent of the cartel's escalation. Multiple specialist teams incoming, Sarah translated, her military experience allowing her to interpret the tactical terminology. Electronic warfare experts, advanced reconnaissance units, professional combat engineers. They're assembling a comprehensive military task force. The command center's displays showed cartel teams conducting systematic surveys of the surrounding terrain. Their approach demonstrated extensive military training, using sophisticated mapping technology to create detailed tactical models of the entire area. South Team is establishing a technical surveillance post, Sarah reported, tracking their deployment through her scope. Advanced electronic monitoring equipment, military-grade direction-finding systems. They're attempting to establish a complete signals intelligence picture of our capabilities. James activated additional counter-surveillance measures, implementing another layer of Rachel's carefully planned defensive protocols. Your mother anticipated this level of escalation, he noted, watching the cartel's professional operators methodically probe their defenses. Every countermeasure we deploy gives them exactly the type of data they expect to find. Sarah observed new teams moving into position around their perimeter. They're establishing a multi-layer surveillance network, she reported, noting their professional positioning. Thermal imaging, signals monitoring, acoustic detection systems. Their technical capabilities exceed standard cartel resources. This is advanced military equipment. The tactical displays revealed the comprehensive nature of the cartel's new approach. They had transformed the Henderson property into a sophisticated forward operating base, complete with specialized military infrastructure and professional support facilities. Director Vega is personally coordinating the operation, Sarah noted, monitoring their communications. He's brought in additional military specialists, including former Mexican Special Forces commanders. They're treating this as a high-priority tactical objective. James studied the cartel's deployment patterns, recognizing the professional military doctrine in their approach. They're establishing multiple layers of tactical observation, he observed. Each team focused on specific aspects of our defensive capabilities. This is a formal military intelligence operation now. Their surveillance network detected new cartel teams conducting detailed technical analysis of the previous engagement. Professional ballistics experts mapped bullet trajectories, combat engineers studied terrain features, and electronic warfare specialists analyzed their communications patterns. West Team is deploying ground-penetrating radar, Sarah reported, tracking their equipment through her thermal imaging. Military-grade subsurface mapping technology. They're attempting to locate any underground facilities or hidden defensive positions. James activated another set of Rachel's carefully planned countermeasures. Your mother's defensive design anticipated this type of professional scrutiny, he remarked, implementing specific protocols designed to present consistent but controlled information to their observers. Sarah monitored the cartel's growing technical operation. They've established multiple signals intelligence platforms, she reported. Advanced electronic warfare equipment, professional-grade monitoring systems. They're attempting to build a comprehensive picture of our tactical capabilities. The command center's displays showed the cartel forces methodically expanding their operation. Each new team brought specialized military expertise, contributing to an increasingly sophisticated understanding of what they thought they faced. North Team is conducting acoustic analysis, Sarah observed, tracking their equipment deployment. Professional-grade sound mapping technology. They're trying to reconstruct our defensive positions based on sound propagation patterns from the engagement. James reviewed the tactical data, noting how each aspect of the cartel's investigation reinforced their carefully crafted deception. They're building exactly the intelligence picture we want them to have, he noted, watching their professional operators compile their analysis. Their surveillance systems continued to intercept fragments of the cartel's tactical communications. The technical language and professional methodology confirmed the operation's transformation into a formal military campaign. Director Vega has requested additional specialized support, Sarah translated from their intercepted communications. Combat engineers, electronic warfare experts, professional tactical analysts, they're assembling a complete military task force. Through their command center's displays, they monitored the cartel's growing operational infrastructure. The Henderson property had been transformed into a sophisticated military facility, demonstrating both their professional capabilities and their commitment to understanding their opposition. Your mother's strategic planning is proving remarkably prescient, James observed, watching the cartel forces continue their methodical analysis. Every aspect of their investigation leads them towards specific conclusions about our capabilities. Sarah tracked another specialized team moving into position. They're establishing additional electronic warfare platforms, she reported. Military-grade signal interception equipment. They're trying to map our entire communications network. As evening approached, the scale of the cartel's escalation became increasingly clear. What had begun as a property acquisition attempt had evolved into a sophisticated military operation commanded by professional operators with extensive tactical experience. Mom always said the most dangerous moment is when your opponent commits fully to the wrong conclusion, Sarah remarked. observing the cartel's growing military presence. They're investing significant resources into understanding what they think they're facing. Through their surveillance systems, father and daughter watched the cartel forces continue their professional analysis, each new piece of evidence reinforcing exactly the tactical picture Rachel had designed them to find. The next phase of their confrontation would be determined by these carefully crafted perceptions. The morning light revealed a transformed operational landscape around the Mitchell Ranch. Through their comprehensive surveillance network, James and Sarah observed the cartel's military operation reaching full tactical maturity. Their forward command center at the Henderson property had evolved into a sophisticated military installation, demonstrating both their professional capabilities and strategic commitment. Director Vega has implemented a complete military command structure, Sarah reported, analyzing their intercepted communications. They've established specialized tactical units, each with specific operational objectives. Their organizational framework mirrors standard special forces protocols. In the command center, James monitored the tactical displays showing the cartel's evolved deployment pattern. They've transitioned fully to military doctrine, he observed, noting their professional methodology. Every aspect of their operation now follows formal special forces procedures. The surveillance systems revealed multiple specialized teams, conducting coordinated tactical analysis. Combat engineers mapped terrain features, electronic warfare specialists monitored communication patterns, and professional operators established comprehensive surveillance positions. South Sector shows significant technical enhancement, Sarah reported through their secure channel. They've deployed advanced electronic warfare platforms, military-grade surveillance systems, and specialized reconnaissance equipment. Their capability assessment has moved beyond standard tactical analysis into full-spectrum military intelligence gathering. James activated additional countermeasures, implementing another layer of Rachel's defensive protocols. Their professional approach demands an equally professional response, he noted, watching the cartel's operators methodically probe their defensive systems. Every countermeasure we deploy must reinforce their tactical assumptions. The command center's displays showed the cartel forces establishing multiple specialized observation posts. Each position demonstrated careful consideration of tactical advantages, revealing their military training and professional expertise. Director Vega has initiated comprehensive operational planning, Sarah translated from their intercepted communications. Multiple specialist teams coordinating detailed tactical analysis. They're preparing for a full-spectrum military engagement. Their surveillance network detected new technical teams deploying advanced analytical equipment. Professional ballistics experts conducted detailed trajectory analysis, while combat engineers performed sophisticated terrain mapping operations. West Sector shows enhanced electronic surveillance, Sarah reported, tracking their equipment deployment through her thermal imaging systems. Military-grade signal interception platforms, advanced direction-finding equipment. They're attempting to establish complete electronic battlefield awareness. James studied the tactical displays, recognizing the professional military doctrine in their approach. Their operational evolution demonstrates serious tactical consideration, he observed, watching their methodical deployment. They're preparing for a coordinated military engagement rather than another direct assault. The command center's monitoring systems revealed the cartel's growing technical sophistication. Multiple specialized platforms conducted detailed environmental analysis, building a comprehensive tactical picture of their operational environment. North Sector indicates significant force enhancement, Sarah noted, observing new team deployments, professional reconnaissance units, specialized combat elements, advanced support personnel. They're establishing a complete military task force. James implemented additional defensive measures, activating specific protocols designed for this level of professional scrutiny. Your mother's strategic planning anticipated this type of military escalation, he remarked, watching their countermeasures engage systematically. The surveillance systems continued monitoring the cartel's tactical communications, revealing their evolved operational methodology. Each transmission demonstrated professional military terminology and formal command protocols. Director Vega has established specialized tactical elements, Sarah reported, analyzing their intercepted signals. Combat engineering teams, electronic warfare units, professional reconnaissance elements. Their force composition indicates preparation for sustained military operations. Through their command center's displays, they observed the cartel's growing operational infrastructure. The Henderson property had been transformed into a sophisticated military facility, complete with specialized support elements and professional command staff. East Sector shows advanced technical deployment, Sarah noted, tracking their equipment placement. Military-grade analytical platforms, specialized surveillance systems. They're implementing comprehensive battlefield preparation procedures. James reviewed the tactical data, observing how each aspect of the cartel's operation reinforced their carefully crafted deception. Their professional analysis builds exactly the picture we need them to see, he commented, monitoring their systematic approach. The surveillance network detected additional specialized teams, establishing new tactical positions. Each deployment demonstrated careful consideration of military doctrine and professional operational procedures. Director Vega has implemented full-spectrum tactical planning, Sarah translated from their communications. Multiple specialized elements coordinating detailed operational analysis. They're preparing for sophisticated military engagement. Their command center's displays showed the cartel forces methodically expanding their tactical infrastructure. Each new installation demonstrated professional military standards and sophisticated operational capabilities. Central Sector indicates enhanced force presence, Sarah reported, observing their deployment patterns. Professional combat elements, specialized support units, advanced tactical teams, they're establishing complete operational coverage. James activated specific counter-surveillance measures, implementing protocols designed for this level of professional observation. Their military approach demands precisely calibrated responses, he noted, watching their systems engage systematically. The surveillance network continued monitoring the cartel's evolved operational structure. Each element demonstrated professional military training and sophisticated tactical awareness. Director Vega has established complete command integration, Sarah reported, analyzing their tactical communications. Multiple specialized units operating under coordinated control. They're implementing formal military command procedures. Through their command center's displays, they observed the cartel's comprehensive tactical preparation. The surrounding terrain had been transformed into a sophisticated military operations area, demonstrating their professional capabilities and strategic commitment. Southeast Sector shows significant technical enhancement, Sarah noted, tracking their equipment deployment. Advanced analytical platforms, specialized surveillance systems, they're establishing complete tactical awareness. James monitored the tactical displays, observing how each aspect of the cartel's operation contributed to their carefully planned deception. Their professional analysis builds precisely the conclusions we need them to reach, he remarked, watching their systematic approach. As evening approached, the scale of the cartel's military transformation became increasingly apparent. What had begun as a property acquisition attempt had evolved into a sophisticated military operation, commanded by professional operators with extensive tactical experience and significant technical resources. Your mother's strategic planning proves remarkably comprehensive, Sarah observed, watching the cartel's growing military presence. Every aspect of their professional analysis reinforces exactly the tactical picture she designed them to find. Through their surveillance systems, father and daughter monitored the cartel's continued operational evolution, each new development contributing to the carefully crafted perception that would determine their next engagement. At dawn, Sarah Mitchell conducted a systematic evaluation of the cartel's evolved tactical infrastructure from an advanced observation position. Through her military-grade optics, she observed significant developments in their operational methodology, indicating a transition to formal Special Forces protocols. Director Vega has implemented comprehensive battlefield preparation, she reported through their secure communication system. Their tactical deployment demonstrates sophisticated military planning. Multiple specialized elements have established strategic positions across all sectors. In their command center, James Mitchell analyzed the tactical displays showing the cartel's enhanced operational structure. Their forward command post at the Henderson property had been transformed into a professional military installation, complete with advanced technical support facilities and specialized command elements. Their operational evolution indicates significant strategic reassessment, James noted. Studying their systematic deployment patterns, they've transitioned from conventional cartel methodology to formal military doctrine. Each tactical element demonstrates professional training and sophisticated coordination. The surveillance network detected multiple specialized teams conducting detailed environmental analysis. Combat engineering units performed comprehensive terrain mapping, while electronic warfare specialists established advanced signal monitoring platforms. West Sector analysis reveals enhanced technical capabilities, Sarah reported, tracking their equipment deployment. They've implemented military-grade surveillance systems, specialized reconnaissance platforms, and advanced electronic warfare equipment. Their analytical approach suggests preparation for sustained tactical operations. James activated additional counter-surveillance measures, implementing specific protocols designed for professional military observation. Their enhanced capabilities require precise defensive responses, he observed, monitoring their systematic countermeasures. Each technical element must present consistent tactical signatures. The command center's displays showed the cartel forces establishing multiple specialized observation posts. Each position demonstrated careful consideration of military doctrine, revealing their professional background and tactical expertise. Director Vega has initiated detailed operational analysis, Sarah translated from their intercepted communications. Multiple specialist teams are coordinating comprehensive tactical evaluation. They're preparing for sophisticated military engagement under unified command structure. Their surveillance systems detected new technical teams deploying advanced analytical equipment. Professional ballistics experts conducted detailed trajectory analysis, while combat engineers performed sophisticated terrain mapping operations. South Sector indicates significant force enhancement, Sarah reported, observing new team deployments. They've established specialized reconnaissance elements, advanced support units, and professional combat teams. Their deployment pattern suggests preparation for coordinated military operations. James implemented additional defensive measures, activating specific protocols designed for this level of professional scrutiny. Each countermeasure must reinforce their tactical assumptions, he noted, watching their systems engage systematically. The surveillance network continued monitoring the cartel's tactical communications, revealing their evolved operational methodology. Each transmission demonstrated professional military terminology and formal command protocols. Director Vega has established specialized tactical elements, Sarah reported, analyzing their intercepted signals. Combat engineering teams, electronic warfare units, and professional reconnaissance elements are operating under coordinated control. Their force composition indicates preparation for sustained military operations. Through their command centers' displays, they observed the cartel's growing operational infrastructure. The Henderson property had been transformed into a sophisticated military facility, complete with specialized support elements and professional command staff. Each sector shows advanced technical deployment, Sarah noted, tracking their equipment placement. Military-grade analytical platforms and specialized surveillance systems are fully operational. They're implementing comprehensive battlefield preparation procedures. James reviewed the tactical data, observing how each aspect of the cartel's operation reinforced their carefully crafted deception. Their professional analysis builds exactly the picture we need them to see, he commented, monitoring their systematic approach. The surveillance network detected additional specialized teams, establishing new tactical positions. Each deployment demonstrated careful consideration of military doctrine and professional operational procedures. Central sector indicates enhanced force presence, Sarah reported, observing their deployment patterns. Professional combat elements, specialized support units, and advanced tactical teams have established complete operational coverage. James activated specific counter-surveillance measures, implementing protocols designed for this level of professional observation. Their military approach demands precisely calibrated responses, he noted, watching their systems engage systematically. The surveillance network continued monitoring the cartel's evolved operational structure. Each element demonstrated professional military training and sophisticated tactical awareness. North Sector analysis reveals significant technical enhancement, Sarah reported, tracking their equipment deployment. Advanced analytical platforms and specialized surveillance systems are fully integrated. They're establishing complete tactical awareness across all sectors. James monitored the tactical displays, observing how each aspect of the cartel's operation contributed to their carefully planned deception. Their professional analysis builds precisely the conclusions we need them to reach, he remarked, watching. Their systematic approach. Through their surveillance systems, they observed the cartel's comprehensive tactical preparation. The surrounding terrain had been transformed into a sophisticated military operations area, demonstrating their professional capabilities and strategic commitment. Your mother's strategic planning continues to prove remarkably effective, Sarah observed, watching the cartel's growing military presence. Every aspect of their professional analysis reinforces exactly the tactical picture she designed them to find. As the morning progressed, the scale of the cartel's military transformation became increasingly apparent. Their operation had evolved into a sophisticated military campaign, commanded by professional operators with extensive tactical experience and significant technical resources. They're building a comprehensive tactical picture, James noted, reviewing their surveillance data. Each element of their analysis contributes to specific operational conclusions. Their professional approach ensures they'll interpret every piece of evidence exactly as your mother planned. Through their command center's displays, father and daughter monitored the cartel's continued operational evolution. Each new development contributed to the carefully crafted perception that would determine their next engagement, exactly as Rachel had anticipated years ago. Mum always emphasized the importance of controlling what your opponent thinks they know, Sarah remarked, observing the cartel's methodical analysis. Their professional capabilities make them more susceptible to specific types of tactical deception. The Texas sun climbed higher, illuminating the transformed landscape around the Mitchell Ranch. What had begun as a simple property acquisition attempt had evolved into a sophisticated military operation, providing exactly the type of professional analysis that Rachel's strategic planning had been designed to exploit. The midday sun cast harsh shadows across the Mitchell Ranch as Sarah maintained surveillance from an elevated position. Through her advanced optics, she observed a significant shift in the cartel's intelligence-gathering methodology. Their operation had transitioned from tactical analysis to comprehensive strategic assessment. Director Vega has implemented enhanced intelligence protocols, Sarah reported through their secure channel. Multiple specialized teams are conducting detailed capability analysis. Their approach demonstrates sophisticated military intelligence doctrine. In the command center, James monitored the tactical displays showing the cartel's evolved information gathering structure. Their forward operating base had been augmented with advanced analytical facilities, indicating a transition to professional military intelligence operations. Their analytical evolution suggests comprehensive strategic reassessment, James noted, studying their systematic approach. They've established multiple intelligence disciplines: signals intelligence, electronic warfare, technical surveillance, and human intelligence operations. Each element demonstrates professional military methodology. The surveillance network detected specialized teams implementing advanced analytical procedures. Technical experts conducted sophisticated signal analysis, while intelligence specialists coordinated comprehensive information gathering. West Sector shows enhanced analytical capabilities, Sarah reported, tracking their equipment deployment. They've established signals intelligence platforms, electronic surveillance systems, and advanced monitoring equipment. Their technical approach suggests preparation for long-term intelligence operations. James activated additional counterintelligence measures, implementing specific protocols designed for professional military observation. Their enhanced capabilities require precise defensive responses, he observed, monitoring their systematic countermeasures. Each technical signature must present consistent intelligence indicators. The command center's displays showed the cartel forces establishing multiple specialized analysis centers. Each facility demonstrated careful consideration of military intelligence doctrine, revealing their professional background and analytical expertise. Director Vega has initiated comprehensive intelligence coordination, Sarah translated from their intercepted communications. Multiple specialist teams are integrating detailed tactical analysis. They're implementing sophisticated military intelligence procedures under centralized control. Their surveillance systems detected new technical teams deploying advanced analytical equipment. Intelligence specialists conducted detailed signal analysis, while technical experts performed sophisticated electronic surveillance. South Sector indicates significant analytical enhancement, Sarah reported, observing new team deployments. They've established specialized intelligence elements, advanced technical units, and professional analysis teams. Their deployment pattern suggests preparation for sustained intelligence operations. James implemented additional countermeasures, activating specific protocols designed for this level of professional scrutiny. Each countermeasure must reinforce their intelligence assessment, he noted, watching their systems engage systematically. The surveillance network continued monitoring the cartel's intelligence communications, revealing their evolved operational methodology. Each transmission demonstrated professional military terminology and formal analytical protocols. Director Vega has established specialized intelligence elements, Sarah reported, analyzing their intercepted signals. Technical analysis teams, electronic surveillance units, and professional intelligence elements are operating under coordinated control. Their organizational structure indicates preparation for comprehensive intelligence gathering. Through their command center's displays, they observed the cartel's growing analytical infrastructure. The Henderson property had been transformed into a sophisticated intelligence facility, complete with specialized analysis elements and professional technical staff. East Sector shows advanced analytical deployment, Sarah noted, tracking their equipment placement. Military-grade intelligence platforms and specialized surveillance systems are fully operational. They're implementing comprehensive information-gathering procedures. James reviewed the tactical data, observing how each aspect of the cartel's operation reinforced their carefully crafted deception. Their professional analysis builds exactly the intelligence picture we need them to see, he commented, monitoring their systematic approach. The surveillance network detected additional specialized teams, establishing new analytical positions. Each deployment demonstrated careful consideration of military intelligence doctrine and professional operational procedures. Central sector indicates enhanced analytical presence, Sarah reported, observing their deployment patterns. Professional intelligence elements, specialized technical units, and advanced analysis teams have established complete operational coverage. James activated specific counter-surveillance measures, implementing protocols designed for this level of professional observation. Their military approach demands precisely calibrated responses, he noted, watching their systems engage systematically. The surveillance network continued monitoring the cartel's evolved intelligence structure. Each element demonstrated professional military training and sophisticated analytical awareness. North sector analysis reveals significant technical enhancement, Sarah reported, tracking their equipment deployment. Advanced intelligence platforms and specialized surveillance systems are fully integrated. They're establishing complete analytical coverage across all sectors. James monitored the tactical displays, observing how each aspect of the cartel's operation contributed to their carefully planned deception. Their professional analysis builds precisely the conclusions we need them to reach, he remarked, watching their systematic approach. Through their surveillance systems, they observed the cartel's comprehensive intelligence preparation. The surrounding terrain had been transformed into a sophisticated information-gathering area, demonstrating their professional capabilities and analytical commitment. Your mother's strategic planning continues to prove remarkably prescient, Sarah observed, watching the cartel's growing intelligence presence. Every aspect of their professional analysis reinforces exactly the tactical picture she designed them to discover. As the afternoon progressed, the scale of the cartel's intelligence transformation became increasingly apparent. Their operation had evolved into a sophisticated military intelligence campaign, commanded by professional operators with extensive analytical experience and significant technical resources. They're building a comprehensive intelligence assessment, James noted, reviewing their surveillance data. Each element of their analysis contributes to specific operational conclusions. Their professional approach ensures they'll interpret every piece of information exactly as your mother planned. Through their command center's displays, father and daughter monitored the cartel's continued analytical evolution. Each new development contributed to the carefully crafted perception that would determine their next engagement, exactly as Rachel had anticipated years ago. Mom always emphasized the importance of controlling what your opponent believes they know, Sarah remarked, observing the cartel's methodical analysis. Their professional capabilities make them more susceptible to specific types of intelligence deception. The Texas sun began its descent, casting long shadows across the transformed landscape around the Mitchell Ranch. What had begun as a simple property acquisition attempt had evolved into a sophisticated military intelligence operation, providing exactly the type of professional analysis that Rachel's strategic planning had been designed to exploit. The evening brought clear indications of the cartel's next operational phase. Through their comprehensive surveillance network, James and Sarah Mitchell observed a significant escalation in both the sophistication and scale of the cartel's preparations. Their forward operating base at the Henderson property had transformed into a fully equipped military command center. Director Vega has implemented advanced operational protocols, Sarah reported, analyzing their tactical deployment through her specialized optics. Multiple combat teams are establishing forward positions. Their equipment loadout suggests preparation for a coordinated assault operation. In the command center, James monitored the tactical displays showing increased activity across all sectors. They're transitioning from intelligence gathering to direct action planning, he observed, noting the systematic deployment of combat elements. Their preparation demonstrates sophisticated military doctrine. The surveillance network detected the arrival of additional specialized equipment. Through encrypted channels, they intercepted communications indicating a significant force buildup. Combat vehicles, tactical support elements, and advanced weapons systems were being strategically positioned around the perimeter. West Sector shows enhanced combat capabilities, Sarah reported, tracking new deployments. They've established heavy weapons positions, tactical support elements, and specialized assault teams. Their deployment pattern suggests preparation for a multi-phase operation. James activated additional defensive measures, implementing specific protocols designed for heightened threat conditions. Their enhanced capabilities require precise countermeasures, he noted, monitoring their defensive systems. Each response must maintain our tactical deception while ensuring effective defense. The command center's displays revealed multiple specialized teams conducting final reconnaissance. Each unit demonstrated professional military training, systematically mapping approach routes and identifying potential tactical advantages. Director Vega has initiated comprehensive operational planning, Sarah translated from their intercepted communications. Combat teams are coordinating detailed assault preparations. They're implementing sophisticated military protocols under centralized command. Their surveillance systems detected new technical teams deploying advanced combat support equipment. Professional operators conducted detailed terrain analysis, while combat engineers prepared specialized assault infrastructure. South Sector indicates significant force enhancement, Sarah reported, observing new team deployments. They've established specialized assault elements, heavy weapons units, and professional combat teams. Their positioning suggests preparation for a coordinated military operation. James implemented additional defensive measures, activating specific protocols designed for imminent engagement. Each defensive position must present consistent tactical signatures, he noted, watching their systems engage systematically. The surveillance network continued monitoring the cartel's tactical communications, revealing their evolved operational methodology. Each transmission demonstrated professional military terminology and formal combat protocols. Director Vega has established specialized assault elements, Sarah reported, analyzing their intercepted signals. Heavy weapons teams, tactical support, units, and professional combat elements are operating under coordinated control. Their force composition indicates preparation for immediate tactical operations. Through their command center's displays, they observed the cartel's growing combat infrastructure. The Henderson property had been transformed into a sophisticated military operations center, complete with specialized support elements and professional command staff. East Sector shows advanced tactical deployment, Sarah noted, tracking their equipment placement. Military-grade assault platforms and specialized combat systems are fully operational. They're implementing comprehensive battlefield preparation procedures. James reviewed the tactical data, observing how each aspect of the cartel's operation reinforced their carefully crafted deception. Their professional approach ensures they'll execute exactly as anticipated, he commented, monitoring their systematic preparation. The surveillance network detected additional specialized teams establishing new combat positions. Each deployment demonstrated careful consideration of military doctrine and professional operational procedures. Central sector indicates enhanced. A combat presence, Sarah reported, observing their deployment patterns. Professional assault elements, specialized support units, and advanced tactical teams have established complete operational coverage. James activated specific countermeasures, implementing protocols designed for immediate tactical response. Their military approach demands precisely calibrated defense, he noted, watching their systems engage systematically. The surveillance network continued monitoring the cartel's evolved combat structure. Each element demonstrated professional military training and sophisticated tactical awareness. North Sector analysis reveals significant force enhancement, Sarah reported, tracking their equipment deployment. Advanced combat platforms and specialized assault systems are fully integrated. They're establishing complete tactical coverage across all sectors. James monitored the tactical displays, observing how each aspect of the cartel's operation contributed to their carefully planned response. Their professional preparation builds precisely the engagement scenario we need, he remarked, watching their systematic approach. Through their surveillance systems, they observed the cartel's comprehensive combat preparation. The surrounding terrain had been transformed into a sophisticated military operations area, demonstrating their professional capabilities and tactical commitment. Your mother's strategic planning continues to prove remarkably effective, Sarah observed, watching the cartel's growing combat presence. Every aspect of their professional preparation reinforces exactly the tactical response she designed them to execute. As night approached, the scale of the cartel's combat transformation became increasingly apparent. Their operation had evolved into a sophisticated military assault, commanded by professional operators with extensive tactical experience and significant combat resources. They're building a comprehensive assault plan, James noted, reviewing their surveillance data. Each element of their preparation contributes to specific operational objectives. Their professional approach ensures they'll execute exactly as your mother anticipated. Through their command center's displays, father and daughter monitored the cartel's continued operational evolution. Each new development contributed to the carefully crafted engagement that would determine their next confrontation, exactly as Rachel had planned years ago. Mom always emphasized the importance of controlling how your opponent fights, Sarah remarked, observing the cartel's methodical preparation. Their professional capabilities make them more predictable in actual combat operations. The Texas night settled over the transformed landscape around the Mitchell Ranch. What had begun as a simple property acquisition attempt had evolved into a sophisticated military operation, providing exactly the type of professional engagement that Rachel's strategic planning had been designed to counter. The first indication of the cartel's assault came precisely at midnight. Through their comprehensive surveillance network, James and Sarah Mitchell detected coordinated movement from multiple sectors. Director Vega had initiated a sophisticated military operation, implementing professional combat doctrine across all operational elements. Multiple teams initiating coordinated advance, Sarah reported from her elevated position, tracking their movement through advanced optical systems. 3 primary assault elements, each composed of specialized combat teams. Their movement patterns indicate extensive military training. In the command center, James monitored the tactical displays showing the cartel's systematic deployment. They're implementing standard military protocols, he observed, analyzing their approach vectors. Each team maintains professional spacing and coordinated movement. Their tactical discipline suggests significant combat experience. Then, the surveillance network detected sophisticated electronic warfare operations accompanying the physical advance. specialized teams attempted to disrupt communications, while combat engineers deployed tactical support equipment. West Sector. Assault element deploying in tactical formation, Sarah reported, maintaining surveillance coverage. 2 specialized teams establishing support positions while main force advances using terrain masking. Their coordination demonstrates professional combat experience. James activated their primary defensive protocols, implementing specific countermeasures designed for professional military opposition. Initiating planned response sequence, he confirmed, monitoring their systematic deployment. Each defensive element must maintain precise tactical signatures. The command center's displays revealed multiple combat teams establishing deliberate attack positions. Each unit demonstrated sophisticated military training, systematically implementing standard assault procedures while maintaining professional coordination. Director Vega has initiated primary assault phase, Sarah translated from their intercepted communications. Combat teams are executing coordinated advance under central control. Their operational language confirms professional military background. Their surveillance systems detected specialized teams deploying advanced combat support equipment. Professional operators coordinated tactical movements, while support elements established sophisticated fire support positions. South Sector indicates significant combat activity, Sarah reported, tracking team movements. Main assault element, advancing with proper tactical spacing. Support teams establishing overlapping fields of fire. Their execution demonstrates professional military training. James implemented additional defensive measures, activating specific protocols designed for immediate tactical response. Each countermeasure must present consistent combat signatures, he noted, monitoring their systematic deployment. The surveillance network continued tracking the cartel's tactical communications, revealing their sophisticated operational methodology. Each transmission demonstrated professional military terminology and formal combat protocols. Director Vega has established tactical command integration, Sarah reported, analyzing their communications. Assault teams maintaining strict communication discipline. Their operational procedures indicate extensive combat experience. Through their command center's displays, they observed the cartel's coordinated combat operation. The surrounding terrain had been transformed into a sophisticated battle space, with professional operators executing precise military tactics. East Sector shows advanced tactical movement, Sarah noted, tracking their deployment. Assault teams, maintaining proper intervals and mutual support. Their execution indicates comprehensive tactical training. James reviewed the combat data, observing how each aspect of the cartel's operation reinforced their carefully crafted response plan. Their professional approach ensures predictable tactical behavior, he commented, monitoring their systematic advance. The surveillance network detected additional teams, establishing new combat positions. Each deployment demonstrated careful adherence to military doctrine and professional operational procedures. Central Sector indicates coordinated assault progress, Sarah reported, observing their movement patterns. Multiple teams advancing using terrain features for concealment. Their tactical execution shows significant combat experience. James activated specific defensive protocols, implementing measures designed for immediate tactical response. Their military approach allows precise countermeasures, he noted, watching their systems engage systematically. The surveillance network continued monitoring the cartel's evolved combat structure. Each element demonstrated professional military training and sophisticated tactical awareness. North Sector analysis reveals synchronized advance, Sarah reported, tracking their movement. Assault teams maintaining tactical integrity during approach. Their coordination indicates extensive operational experience. James monitored the tactical displays, observing how each aspect of the cartel's operation contributed to their planned response. Their professional execution ensures precise defensive options, he remarked, watching their systematic approach. Through their surveillance systems, they observed the cartel's comprehensive combat operation. The assault teams demonstrated sophisticated military capabilities while maintaining professional tactical discipline. Your mother's defensive planning continues proving remarkably effective, Sarah observed, watching the cartel's coordinated advance. Every aspect of their professional execution matches exactly the tactical response she anticipated. As the assault progressed, the scale of the cartel's military operation became increasingly apparent. Their attack had evolved into a sophisticated combat operation, executed by professional operators with extensive tactical experience and significant combat resources. They're implementing comprehensive assault procedures, James noted, reviewing their surveillance data. Each element of their execution contributes to specific tactical objectives. Their professional approach ensures predictable operational patterns. Through their command center's displays, father and daughter monitored the cartel's continued combat evolution. Each new development contributed to the carefully crafted engagement scenario that would determine the outcome, exactly as Rachel had planned years ago. Mom always emphasized understanding professional military mindset, Sarah remarked, observing the cartel's methodical execution. Their tactical training makes their combat responses more predictable. The Texas night resonated with contained combat activity as the cartel forces continued their coordinated advance. What had begun as a property acquisition attempt had evolved into a sophisticated military operation, providing exactly the type of professional engagement that Rachel's strategic planning had been designed to counter. Their comprehensive defensive preparations, carefully concealed beneath the ranch's innocent exterior, stood ready to respond. Years of tactical planning combined with professional military expertise had created a defensive system specifically designed to counter this type of sophisticated assault operation. In response to the cartel's coordinated assault, Sarah Mitchell initiated their primary defensive protocol, executing a precise tactical response that reflected years of professional military training. From her elevated position, she maintained comprehensive surveillance while implementing their carefully planned countermeasures. Initiating defensive sequence Alpha, she reported through their secure communication system. Multiple hostile elements have crossed primary engagement thresholds. Their tactical formation presents optimal response conditions. In the command center, James monitored their defensive systems as they engaged systematically. Implementing coordinated countermeasures, he confirmed, activating specific response protocols. Each defensive element will engage according to predetermined parameters. Sarah's first tactical response demonstrated the sophisticated precision that had distinguished her military career. Through her advanced optical system, she systematically disabled the cartel's primary communication equipment, targeting specific components with surgical accuracy. West sector elements neutralized, she reported, maintaining professional detachment. Primary communication systems disabled, their tactical coordination is significantly degraded while maintaining zero personnel casualties. The cartel forces responded with professional discipline, immediately implementing standard military protocols for communications failure. Their tactical adaptation, however, pushed them precisely into predetermined containment zones. Director Vega is initiating contingency protocols, Sarah translated from their remaining intercepted communications. Combat teams attempting to establish alternative command and control measures. Their response follows standard military procedure. James activated secondary defensive systems, implementing additional countermeasures designed specifically for professional military opposition. Their tactical adaptation matches anticipated parameters, he noted, monitoring their systematic response. Sarah continued executing precise defensive shots, each one calculated to disable equipment and disrupt tactical coordination without causing personnel injuries. Her expertise, refined through multiple combat deployments, allowed unprecedented accuracy even under challenging night conditions. "South sector elements contained," she reported, adjusting her position slightly. "Secondary communication systems neutralized. Their tactical cohesion shows increasing degradation while maintaining non-lethal engagement parameters." The cartel's professional operators demonstrated significant tactical experience, attempting to establish alternative communication methods and maintain operational coordination. Their military training, however, made their responses predictable within the context of Rachel's defensive design. Director Vega implementing secondary command structure, Sarah noted, tracking their tactical adjustments. Combat teams attempting to establish local control protocols. Their adaptation follows anticipated military doctrine. Through their command center's displays, James monitored the systematic degradation of the cartel's tactical capabilities. Each defensive response triggered specific operational adjustments, pushing their forces into increasingly disadvantageous positions. "East sector showing coordinated response," Sarah reported, maintaining tactical overview. Multiple teams attempting to establish new command positions. Their movement patterns match predicted behavioral models. The cartel forces demonstrated professional military discipline, maintaining tactical integrity despite significant communication challenges. Their training, however, compelled them to follow standard protocols that played directly into their defensive strategy. "Central elements attempting tactical reorganization," Sarah observed, tracking their movement. Combat teams implementing standard military responses. Their professional training ensures predictable adaptation patterns. James activated additional defensive measures, implementing specific protocols designed to exploit standard military responses. "Their tactical adjustment matches anticipated parameters," he noted, monitoring their systematic reaction. Sarah continued executing precise defensive shots, systematically degrading the cartel's remaining tactical capabilities while maintaining strict non-lethal parameters. Her expertise allowed unprecedented accuracy in targeting specific equipment, components. "North sector elements contained," she reported, maintaining professional focus. "Tertiary communication systems neutralized. Their operational capability shows significant degradation while maintaining zero casualties." The cartel's professional operators attempted to implement sophisticated tactical adjustments, demonstrating significant combat experience. Their military training, however, continued directing them toward predictable response patterns. Director Vega attempting to establish tactical coherence, Sarah noted, tracking their communications. Combat teams implementing emergency protocols. Their responses remain within anticipated parameters. Through their surveillance systems, James monitored the cartel's increasingly frustrated attempts to maintain tactical coordination. Each professional response pushed them further into carefully prepared defensive positions. "Multiple elements showing tactical distress," Sarah reported, maintaining systematic observation. Combat teams losing operational cohesion. Their professional discipline ensures continued predictable responses. The cartel forces demonstrated impressive tactical resilience, attempting to maintain military discipline despite significant operational degradation. Their training, however, prevented them from adapting beyond standard combat protocols. Director Vega implementing final contingency measures, Sarah observed, tracking their tactical adjustments. Combat teams attempting to establish emergency command structure. Their responses continue following military doctrine. James activated final defensive protocols, implementing measures designed to exploit professional military training. Their tactical adaptation ensures predictable response patterns, he noted, monitoring their systematic reaction. Through their command center's displays, father and daughter observed the progressive deterioration of the cartel's tactical position. Each professional response triggered specific defensive measures, creating increasingly untenable operational conditions. Your mother's defensive design proves remarkably effective, Sarah commented, maintaining tactical focus. Every aspect of their professional response contributes to their systematic containment. The Texas night resonated with contained tactical activity as the cartel forces attempted to maintain operational coherence. Their sophisticated military operation, executed with professional precision, encountered a defensive system specifically designed to exploit their training. They're implementing final tactical protocols, James noted, reviewing their surveillance data. Each element of their response contributes to their systematic neutralization. Their professional approach ensures continued predictable behavior. Through their comprehensive defensive systems, the Mitchells monitored the cartel's increasingly desperate attempts to maintain tactical integrity. Each professional response moved them closer to complete operational failure, exactly as Rachel had planned years ago. The tactical situation reached its critical phase as the cartel forces, despite their professional military training, found themselves completely contained within the Mitchell Ranch's defensive system. Sarah maintained precise observation from her elevated position, systematically monitoring their deteriorating operational capability. All hostile elements successfully contained, she reported, tracking multiple teams through her advanced optics. Director Vega's forces have lost tactical cohesion. Their professional training is now actively contributing to their operational paralysis. In the command center, James monitored their comprehensive surveillance displays, showing the cartel's compromised position. Initiating final containment phase, he confirmed, activating specific protocols designed to exploit their professional military background. The cartel's combat teams, despite their sophisticated training, found themselves unable to maintain tactical coordination. Their attempts to implement standard military procedures consistently encountered precisely calculated countermeasures. West sector elements completely neutralized, Sarah reported, maintaining professional detachment. Combat teams have lost all tactical mobility. Their training compels them to maintain defensive positions that offer no operational advantage. James activated their property's advanced lighting system, strategically illuminating specific areas while maintaining others in complete darkness. The cartel's night vision equipment, suddenly compromised, created additional tactical confusion. Director Vega, attempting final tactical reorganization, Sarah translated from their fragmented communications. Combat teams receiving contradictory commands. Their professional discipline prevents effective adaptation to degraded operational conditions. The cartel forces demonstrated their military background by attempting to establish new command and control measures. However, each professional response pushed them further into tactically untenable positions. South sector showing complete tactical degradation, Sarah observed, tracking their movement patterns. Multiple teams attempting standard military responses. Their training ensures predictable reactions to our systematic countermeasures. Through their command center's displays, James monitored the cartel's increasingly desperate attempts to maintain operational coherence. Each professional adjustment encountered precisely calculated defensive responses. East sector elements contained, Sarah reported, maintaining tactical overview. Combat teams have lost strategic initiative. Their professional background prevents improvisation outside standard military protocols. The cartel's operators, despite significant combat experience, found themselves unable to counter the Mitchell Ranch's sophisticated defensive measures. Their military training had become a tactical liability. Director Vega implementing emergency extraction protocols, Sarah noted, tracking their communications. Combat teams attempting coordinated withdrawal. Their movement patterns remain within anticipated parameters. James activated final containment measures, implementing specific protocols designed to control the cartel's withdrawal options. Their professional response ensures predictable evacuation patterns, he observed, monitoring their systematic reaction. The cartel forces attempted to maintain tactical discipline during their withdrawal, demonstrating their military background. However, their professional training continued directing them toward pre-planned containment zones. North sector elements executing standard withdrawal procedures, Sarah reported, maintaining systematic observation. Combat teams following military evacuation protocols. Their training ensures they'll select specific extraction routes. Through their surveillance systems, father and daughter monitored the cartel's coordinated withdrawal attempt. Each professional response encountered precisely calculated defensive measures, ensuring controlled evacuation patterns. Central elements maintaining tactical formation, Sarah observed, tracking their movement. Combat teams attempting to establish withdrawal corridors. Their professional discipline continues limiting their tactical options. James activated specific guidance measures, implementing protocols designed to channel their withdrawal. Their military training ensures predictable evacuation procedures, he noted, monitoring their systematic response. The cartel's professional operators attempted to maintain tactical integrity during their withdrawal, demonstrating significant combat experience. Their training, however, prevented effective adaptation to degraded operational conditions. Director Vega, coordinating final extraction, Sarah reported, tracking their communications. Combat teams implementing emergency withdrawal protocols. Their responses remain within anticipated parameters. Through their command center's displays, they monitored the cartel's systematic withdrawal from their compromised tactical position. Each professional response encountered precisely calculated guidance measures. Multiple elements executing coordinated withdrawal, Sarah noted, maintaining tactical overview. Combat teams following standard military procedures. Their training ensures controlled evacuation patterns. The cartel forces demonstrated impressive professional discipline during their withdrawal, maintaining tactical formation despite significant operational degradation. Their military background, however, continued limiting their adaptive options. Director Vega implementing final coordination measures, Sarah observed, tracking their movement. Combat teams maintaining withdrawal discipline. Their responses follow standard military protocols. James activated last-phase guidance systems, implementing measures designed to ensure controlled evacuation. Their professional training guarantees predictable withdrawal patterns, he noted, monitoring their systematic response. Through their comprehensive surveillance network, father and daughter observed the cartel's coordinated withdrawal from their compromised tactical position. Each professional response encountered precisely calculated defensive measures. Your mother's defensive design proves remarkably comprehensive, Sarah commented, maintaining tactical focus. Every aspect of their professional withdrawal contributes to controlled evacuation patterns. The Texas night resonated with contained withdrawal activity as the cartel forces executed their emergency extraction protocols. Their sophisticated military operation, conducted with professional precision, encountered a defensive system specifically designed to ensure controlled evacuation. They're implementing standard withdrawal procedures, James noted, reviewing their surveillance data. Each element of their response contributes to systematic evacuation. Their professional approach ensures predictable movement patterns. Through their defensive systems, the Mitchells monitored the cartel's coordinated withdrawal from their compromised tactical position. Each professional response moved them toward complete evacuation, exactly as Rachel had planned years ago. "Mom's strategic vision proves remarkably precise," Sarah observed, watching the cartel's systematic withdrawal. Their professional training ensures they'll execute exactly the type of withdrawal she anticipated. The tactical situation reached its planned conclusion as the cartel forces completed their coordinated withdrawal. Their sophisticated military operation, executed with professional precision, encountered a defensive system specifically designed to ensure controlled resolution. The dawn light revealed the precise efficiency of the Mitchell Ranch's defensive system. Sarah maintained her observation position, conducting a systematic assessment of the night's engagement while tracking the cartel's continued withdrawal through their surveillance network. "Complete tactical analysis confirms 0 casualties," she reported, scanning the aftermath through her advanced optics. Director Vega's forces have withdrawn to their forward operating base at the Henderson property. Their professional military background ensured a controlled resolution. In the command center, James reviewed their comprehensive engagement data, analyzing each phase of the operation. Their tactical response matched anticipated parameters, he noted, studying the systematic progression of events. Each element of their professional training contributed to predictable operational patterns. The surveillance network showed the cartel forces conducting their own detailed assessment. Their military background was evident in their methodical approach to analyzing the engagement. "West sector showing significant equipment casualties," Sarah reported, cataloging the results. "Multiple communication systems disabled, tactical coordination equipment neutralized. Their professional assessment indicates growing recognition of tactical disadvantage." Through their monitoring systems, they intercepted fragments of the cartel's tactical analysis. The professional terminology revealed their military background as they attempted to understand their comprehensive tactical failure. Director Vega, conducting detailed operational review, Sarah translated from their communications. Combat teams submitting standard after-action reports. Their assessment follows formal military protocols. James studied their surveillance feeds, observing the cartel's systematic evaluation process. Their professional background ensures they'll conduct a comprehensive tactical analysis, he noted, monitoring their methodical approach. The cartel's forward operating base showed intense activity as specialized teams conducted detailed equipment assessment. Their military training was evident in their systematic approach to understanding the engagement's outcome. South sector analysis reveals systematic equipment degradation, Sarah reported, tracking their evaluation. Combat teams conducting standard damage assessment. Their professional methodology provides clear insight into their tactical understanding. Through their command center's displays, father and daughter monitored the cartel's comprehensive review process. Each element of their analysis revealed growing recognition of their strategic miscalculation. East sector teams implementing standard evaluation protocols, Sarah observed, maintaining surveillance. Technical units assessing equipment casualties. Their professional assessment indicates significant tactical reconsideration. The cartel forces demonstrated their military background through their systematic approach to analyzing the engagement. Each aspect of their evaluation followed standard professional protocols. Director Vega coordinating comprehensive review, Sarah noted, monitoring their communications. Combat teams conducting detailed tactical analysis. Their assessment methodology reveals professional military background. James reviewed their defensive data, observing how each aspect of the engagement had exploited the cartel's professional training. Their military background ensures systematic evaluation, he commented, studying their methodical approach. The surveillance network showed specialized teams conducting detailed terrain analysis. Their professional methodology revealed growing understanding of the tactical sophistication they had encountered. North Sector indicates coordinated assessment activity, Sarah reported, tracking their movement. Technical teams conducting standard evaluation procedures. Their professional analysis reveals increasing tactical respect. Through their monitoring systems, they observed the cartel's systematic attempt to understand their operational failure. Each element of their assessment demonstrated professional military discipline. Central elements conducting detailed review, Sarah observed, maintaining surveillance coverage. Combat teams following standard assessment protocols. Their evaluation indicates significant strategic reassessment. James studied their tactical displays, noting how the cartel's professional background influenced their analysis. Their military training ensures comprehensive evaluation, he noted, monitoring their systematic approach. The surveillance network showed multiple specialized teams conducting detailed equipment assessment. Their professional methodology revealed growing recognition of their tactical limitations. Director Vega implementing formal review protocols, Sarah reported, tracking their activities. Technical teams conducting systematic analysis. Their assessment follows standard military procedures. Through their command center's displays, they monitored the cartel's comprehensive evaluation process. Each element of their analysis revealed increasing understanding of their strategic position. Multiple teams conducting coordinated assessment, Sarah noted, maintaining tactical overview. Combat units following standard review procedures. Their professional methodology ensures systematic evaluation. The cartel forces demonstrated their military background through their methodical approach to understanding the engagement. Each aspect of their analysis followed professional protocols. Director Vega coordinating final assessment, Sarah observed, tracking their communications. Combat teams completing detailed reviews. Their evaluation indicates significant operational reconsideration. James studied their surveillance data, noting how the cartel's professional training influenced their analysis. Their military background ensures thorough evaluation, he commented, monitoring their systematic approach. Through their comprehensive monitoring systems, father and daughter observed the cartel's coordinated assessment process. Each element of their analysis revealed growing recognition of their tactical situation. Your mother's strategic planning proves remarkably effective, Sarah commented, maintaining surveillance coverage. Every aspect of their professional assessment reinforces the tactical reality she designed. The Texas morning revealed the precise efficiency of their defensive system as the cartel forces continued their systematic evaluation. Their sophisticated military operation, analyzed with professional precision, encountered a defensive reality that exceeded their tactical understanding. They're implementing standard assessment procedures, James noted, reviewing their surveillance data. Each element of their analysis contributes to comprehensive evaluation. Their professional approach ensures systematic understanding. Through their defensive systems, the Mitchells monitored the cartel's coordinated assessment of their tactical failure. Each professional response indicated growing recognition of their strategic miscalculation, exactly as Rachel had anticipated years ago. As midday approached, the Mitchell Ranch's surveillance network detected significant changes in the cartel's operational posture. Sarah, maintaining systematic observation, noted the professional precision with which their forces began dismantling their forward operating base at the Henderson property. Director Vega has initiated complete operational withdrawal, she reported, tracking their movement through her advanced optics. Multiple teams conducting systematic equipment retrieval. Their professional methodology indicates formal mission termination. In the command center, James monitored their surveillance feeds, showing comprehensive changes across all sectors. They're implementing standard withdrawal protocols, he observed, studying their methodical approach. Each element of their operation demonstrates professional military discipline. The cartel forces, maintaining tactical awareness, executed their withdrawal with the same precision that had characterized their entire operation. Their military background was evident in their systematic approach to mission termination. West Sector, showing coordinated withdrawal activity, Sarah reported, tracking their movement. Combat teams conducting standard equipment recovery. Their professional methodology ensures controlled evacuation procedures. Through their monitoring systems, they intercepted fragments of the cartel's final tactical communications. The professional terminology revealed their military background as they coordinated their complete withdrawal. Director Vega implementing formal withdrawal protocols, Sarah translated from their communications. Combat teams executing standard evacuation procedures. Their coordination follows established military doctrine. James studied their surveillance feeds, observing the cartel's systematic withdrawal process. Their professional background ensures methodical evacuation, he noted, monitoring their coordinated approach. The Henderson property showed decreasing activity as specialized teams systematically removed their tactical infrastructure. Their military training was evident in their precise approach to operational termination. South Sector indicates comprehensive withdrawal, Sarah reported, maintaining surveillance coverage. Technical teams conducting standard equipment removal. Their professional methodology demonstrates tactical acceptance. Through their command center's displays, father and daughter monitored the cartel's systematic withdrawal process. Each element of their operation revealed complete recognition of their strategic situation. East Sector teams implementing evacuation protocols, Sarah observed, tracking their movement. Combat units conducting coordinated withdrawal. Their professional discipline ensures systematic departure. The cartel forces demonstrated their military background through their methodical approach to operational termination. Each aspect of their withdrawal followed standard professional procedures. Director Vega coordinating final evacuation, Sarah noted, monitoring their communications. Combat teams executing systematic withdrawal. Their methodology indicates complete mission termination. James reviewed their tactical displays, observing how the cartel's professional training influenced their withdrawal. Their military background ensures controlled evacuation, he commented, studying their methodical approach. The surveillance network showed specialized teams conducting final area clearance. Their professional methodology revealed complete acceptance of their tactical reality. North Sector shows systematic withdrawal, Sarah reported, tracking their activity. Technical teams completing standard evacuation procedures. Their professional coordination indicates strategic acceptance. Through their monitoring systems, they observed the cartel's methodical approach to operational termination. Each element of their withdrawal demonstrated professional military discipline. Central elements conducting final evacuation, Sarah observed, maintaining surveillance coverage. Combat teams following standard withdrawal protocols. Their coordination indicates complete tactical acceptance. James studied their displays, noting how the cartel's professional background influenced their withdrawal. Their military training ensures systematic evacuation, he noted, monitoring their coordinated approach. The surveillance network showed multiple teams conducting final equipment removal. Their professional methodology revealed complete recognition of their strategic position. Director Vega implementing completion protocols, Sarah reported, tracking their activities. Technical teams conducting final withdrawal. Their procedures follow standard military doctrine. Through their command center's displays, they monitored the cartel's systematic termination process. Each element of their withdrawal revealed complete understanding of their tactical situation. Multiple teams executing coordinated departure, Sarah noted, maintaining tactical overview. Combat units following standard evacuation procedures. Their professional methodology ensures controlled withdrawal. The cartel forces demonstrated their military background through their methodical approach to operational termination. Each aspect of their withdrawal followed professional protocols. Director Vega coordinating final departure, Sarah observed, tracking their communications. Combat teams completing systematic withdrawal. Their evacuation indicates complete. Operational termination. James studied their surveillance data, noting how the cartel's professional training influenced their withdrawal. Their military background ensures thorough evacuation, he commented, monitoring their systematic approach. Through their comprehensive monitoring systems, father and daughter observed the cartel's coordinated withdrawal process. Each element of their departure revealed complete acceptance of their strategic reality. Your mother's strategic planning proves remarkably comprehensive, Sarah commented, maintaining surveillance coverage. Every aspect of their professional withdrawal validates the tactical effectiveness she designed. The Texas afternoon revealed the complete resolution of their defensive operation as the cartel forces concluded their systematic withdrawal. Their sophisticated military operation, terminated with professional precision, encountered a defensive reality that necessitated complete tactical withdrawal. They're implementing final evacuation procedures, James noted, reviewing their surveillance data. Each element of their withdrawal contributes to comprehensive termination. Their professional approach ensures systematic departure. Through their defensive systems, the Mitchells monitored the cartel's coordinated completion of their operational withdrawal. Each professional response indicated complete acceptance of their strategic reality, exactly as Rachel had anticipated years ago. Mum's strategic vision proves remarkably definitive, Sarah observed, watching the cartel's systematic departure. Their professional training ensures they'll execute exactly the type of withdrawal she designed them to implement. The tactical situation reached its final resolution as the cartel forces completed their coordinated withdrawal. Their sophisticated military operation, terminated with professional precision, encountered a defensive system specifically designed to ensure complete operational conclusion. The evening sun cast long shadows across the Mitchell ranch as Sarah conducted a final sweep of their perimeter. Through her advanced optics, she confirmed the complete withdrawal of all cartel forces from the surrounding properties, marking the definitive conclusion of their defensive operation. Final tactical assessment confirms complete area clearance, she reported, scanning the terrain that had witnessed their sophisticated engagement. Director Vega's forces have fully withdrawn from all sectors. Their professional military background ensured systematic operational termination. In the command center, James reviewed their comprehensive surveillance data, analyzing the complete resolution of their defensive strategy. The tactical displays showed the Henderson property and other surrounding areas returning to their normal state, cleared of all military presence. Sheriff Martinez approaching, Sarah noted, detecting the familiar vehicle through their security network. The local law enforcement officer had maintained a careful distance during the operation, understanding that some situations required specialized resolution. Martinez's cruiser pulled up to their main gate, her expression revealing both concern and relief. "Quite a night," she commented, stepping from her vehicle. Got some interesting reports about multiple vehicles leaving the area. Our friends from the south seem to have had a change of heart. James maintained their carefully crafted cover, though his response carried the weight of tactical truth. Sometimes people realize certain properties aren't worth the trouble, he replied simply. You know, Martinez said carefully, I've been in law enforcement 20 years, never seen a cartel operation withdraw this completely. They're not just leaving your ranch, they're abandoning every property they acquired in the valley. Complete tactical withdrawal. Sarah joined them, her professional demeanor masking her combat experience. Maybe they found the environment less hospitable than expected, she suggested, her voice carrying subtle understanding of their strategic victory. Martinez studied them both, her experienced eyes noting details that spoke of their capabilities. Whatever happened here last night, she said finally, it's changed things. The message has spread. No cartel operations will risk moving into this valley again. That was your mother's real goal, James said later, as he and Sarah conducted their final security check. Not just defending our ranch, but protecting the entire community. She designed this system to create a permanent deterrent. Sarah nodded, understanding the sophisticated elegance of Rachel's strategic vision. Mom knew the best defense isn't just about winning battles, she replied. It's about preventing them from starting. The cartel's professional background means they'll analyze what happened here. Their assessment will ensure no similar organization attempts another operation. Through their surveillance network, they monitored the systematic restoration of normal activity across the valley. Properties that had been seized through cartel intimidation were being returned to their rightful owners, their tactical victory creating ripples of positive change throughout the community. Director Vega's final report will be interesting, Sarah noted, intercepting fragments of cartel communications. His military background ensures he'll provide a comprehensive analysis of their tactical failure. That professional assessment will become a powerful deterrent. James studied their tactical displays, observing the complete transformation of their operational environment. Your mother's strategic planning went beyond simple defense, he remarked. She created a system that turns professional military training into a disadvantage. The more tactically sophisticated the opponent, the more effectively her design works. The command center's screens showed multiple properties being reclaimed by their original owners. The Hendersons were returning, along with other families who had been forced out by cartel pressure. Their defensive victory had restored more than just tactical security. It had preserved a way of life. Got movement at the Thompson place, Sarah reported, maintaining their vigilant observation. Tommy's family is back. Looks like the whole community is returning to normal. Martinez's prediction proved accurate in the following days. Their surveillance network detected multiple cartel reconnaissance teams conducting distant observation, but none attempted to establish operational presence. The professional analysis of their tactical failure had created an effective deterrent. Mum understood psychological deterrence, Sarah commented, watching another cartel observation team withdraw without attempting engagement. Their military training compels them to respect demonstrated tactical superiority. Each professional assessment reinforces the valley's reputation. James activated their standard security protocols, maintaining the defensive readiness that Rachel had insisted upon. Your mother's legacy goes beyond tactical defense, he noted. She created a system that protects not just property, but community. Each family returning home validates her strategic vision. The Texas sunset painted the valley in shades of gold, illuminating a landscape transformed not by combat, but by the promise of security. Their sophisticated defensive operation had accomplished more than tactical victory. It had established a permanent, protective presence. We maintain readiness, Sarah said, checking their security systems. Mum's Planning ensures we're always prepared, but her strategy means we likely won't need to engage again. Professional opponents respect demonstrated capabilities. Through their command center's displays, they monitored the valley's return to normal life. Each aspect of their community showed the positive impact of their defensive success, precisely as Rachel had envisioned years ago. "Your mother understood the true meaning of defense," James observed, watching families return to their homes. "Not just protecting property, but preserving community. Her strategic vision created something permanent." Sarah smiled, recognizing the sophisticated elegance of Rachel's planning. "Mom always said the best victories are the ones that last," she replied. She designed this system to create lasting security, not just tactical success. The Mitchell Ranch stood as a silent guardian, its sophisticated defensive capabilities concealed beneath an ordinary exterior. Rachel's strategic vision had transformed it into something more than a fortress. It had become a symbol of community resilience and determination. Their tactical victory had accomplished more than simple defense. It had established a permanent, protective presence, ensuring their valley would remain secure for generations to come. Rachel's legacy lived on in every family returning home, in every community restored, in every threat deterred by the reputation she had helped them create. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.